Welcome to the Dolphin Radio Show, your weekly source of material used to make other content creators look good. This week we'll be discussing ethnic holidays, such as ones listed in the show title, and what their cultural effect is on this nation's perception of their host cultures, have had in comparison to what can arguably be named as placatory substitutions, such as Black History Month. Joining me tonight is Kasey Dynneson and That Lawful Neutral. Kasey, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And Lawful?
Hey!
All right.
I'm just trying to find the stream.
Do you guys have your own channels or anything you want to?
Well, I just do live streams. This week I'll be doing a live stream with Aiden Paladin and Politipod. So
Awesome.
If you want to catch that, it's Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. Yeah, Pod's a great guy. Lawful, how about you?
Yeah, I do have a channel, but I've just not been. Oh, I'm not muted. Okay, yeah. I do have a channel. I've just not uploaded for a while because I am very busy with exams and I work on like a miscarriages of justice unit, which has been very insane lately. So I've just not had the time.
All right, excellent. So, Lawful's in the UK, and I think, Kasey, you're in the US?
Yes, I am.
All right, so there's a little bit of a cultural difference here. I don't think, Lawful, you guys don't have Black History Month in the UK. Do you guys have St. Paddy's Day and Octoberfest?
Yes, we do have a Black History Month as well, but we don't celebrate it, and it's not necessarily like when it's discussed, it's mainly used as an educational tool, basically, where like in primary schools, like here was like the slave, like here was the slave trade, and the slave trade was a thing. Like it's or say for example when you talk about the civil rights movement, so it's basically just purely used as an educational tool, and it's not something that the culture necessarily in and of itself celebrates. I mean, apart from obviously, I'm sure you will have we do have a Black Lives Matter in the UK, although they don't do a lot. I mean, like they don't do anything. So I want
to stop you there for a second. I feel so bad because that's an export from my. Yeah,
you brought it here. You gave it to us. But in fairness, they don't do anything. Like there's not been anything like violent. There's barely been protests. Like they just occasionally I see them hand out flyers and say, like support Black people, don't hate Black people, and I'm like, cool, I won't do that.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up, buddy.
But yes, if you do come to the UK, they do exist. They just don't do anything. As far as I'm aware, anyway.
But do you celebrate St. Paddy's Day or?
Oh yes, especially because I'm from Liverpool, and there is a quite significantly large Irish immigrant population in Liverpool, and I mean in the UK as well in general. And my stepmom's from the Republic of Ireland, so then there's that kind of element in my family as well. So. Yeah, it's definitely celebrated. Although, at the same time, nobody ever feels guilty about celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I think that's a very uniquely an American thing. I don't know if it's because you have a lot of Irish people who are born in Ireland and came to the UK celebrating it as well. And I think that it's just, I don't know, it's really weird because we just don't have these same discussions in the UK. So when I see it, I'm just what do you guys care about this?
Hold on a second. Wait, who's shamed of St. Paddy's Day?
When you see the SJW groups and stuff, and you see large American news outlets saying, we don't have those discussions in the UK. I've not seen them anywhere.
We don't have those here amongst intelligent people. I'm sorry. Those people know nothing about history. They're intersectionalists that won't put Irish people at the top because they have white skin, proving that they don't care about
they're fucking bigots.
Actual legitimate oppression. Or systematic oppression so much as the color of your skin. So the Irish people, even though if you really look at Irish people's history, they really are one of the most oppressed people in the past.
Especially
by far through systematic legal terms and everything.
Yeah, particularly in the UK as well.
I mean, they have been kind of they've gotten the shit end of the stick for over 750 years. So. Honestly, they got treated worse than Black people when they first came to the U.S. as well.
Yeah, there was Irish people were treated particularly badly, and even just in the UK in recent memory, it's not the 70s, 80s where there was still in the UK, Irish people aren't allowed, to apply for jobs.
No blacks, no Jews, no Irish.
Yeah. I mean, like, and as well, like, I mean, I guess to a certain extent.
Yeah, no Irish was underlined twice.
I mean, like, I think that part of it is because obviously, like, the IRA was still a very. They're still I mean, there's still a thing now, but there is still a lot of conflict with the IRA, and that affected the culture quite a lot. Not saying it's justified, but say, for example, when there was like the bombing that went off in like the center of Manchester, etc. Manchester just getting bombed, fucking, But, like, but, it happened. The IRA bombed the city center in Manchester and caused a lot of damage and killed people and stuff, and that obviously created a lot of animosity towards the Irish, which is not fun.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point, though, is like in the United States on St. Patty's Day, everybody claims to be Irish. It doesn't matter.
The thing,
like, I am totally Irish. I swear to God. I swear to all of the gods. I am definitely Irish. You'd be like, no, you're not Irish. But like, no, I'm Irish. Give me some green beer.
Well, the thing is, depending on where you are, you probably are at least a good chunk Irish. They had a fuck ton of kids. Let's be real here.
Yeah, no.
Fuck ton of kids.
My stepmom's mum was one of 11.
Jesus.
And my second point is the Germans. So you have Octoberfest is a huge thing all over the United States. But if you look at like pre-World War I, America was 1/3 German. So it's kind of you kind of got to expect that a lot of German culture is here in the United States, and so we do we celebrate Oktoberfest, and during Oktoberfest everybody celebrates German culture. That if you go to an Oktoberfest celebration, you're gonna drink, you're gonna eat a lot of sausage and funnel cakes and potato cakes.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have a great time listening to tubas go papa. So and that's what you do. And nobody goes, hey, we're the Nazis. Nobody ever does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like,
and that's kind of my point of this whole discussion is that you have groups that have been culturally hated for good and for ridiculous reasons, like the Irish and like the Germans, who have their cultural celebrations on an annual basis, and we love them. And then you have this huge what I'm being told is a race problem between white and black America, and you have Black History Month. And Black History Month in America, I guess it's the purpose is educational, like it is in the U.S. or in the UK, but it's not quite.
It used to be educational.
It used to, but when I was growing up, it was very educational.
Yeah, but now it's more of used to beat people with a stick.
Yeah. It's more of a you're white and you guys did this, and it's like, hey, 2/3 of us came here after World War I, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We left the steaming shit pile that was Europe.
We fled Nazis and Kaisers and all kinds of shit. The 2/3 of us are here, like, only in the 20th century forward.
Yeah.
I think what frustrates me most about we do have, say, for example, I'm in a university now, so I'm in a debate society, which is very liberal, very left-leaning, to the point where I judge debate competitions sometimes. In fact, I'm going to Europe to do it, and they have to remind judges that right-wing analysis can win debates. So, so...
Wow. How fucking surreal is that?
They have to remind... I'm left-leaning myself, but they have to remind judges that 3 minutes of right-wing analysis beats a 2-second left-wing rebuttal. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's surreal. Yeah. It's a surreal thing that you have to say.
I know, it's very weird. Like, I could do a whole 15-hour rant on Debate Society, so I won't do that because it will take up all of your stream.
Well, outside of that, let me ask you guys, what do you think about if instead of Black History Month presented the way it was more like Black Culture Month, where it was something like Oktoberfest, where you have just celebrations.
I could already hear the ringing of cultural appropriation. I could already hear it. It's coming.
No, it's like New Orleans all over the United States for 1 month. And if you've ever been to New Orleans,
I want to go so badly.
It's amazing. Oh God, and it's heyday. Like, because I grew up in Houston, so we were always real close to New Orleans. and we would go there for Mardi Gras, and it was I had family in Baton Rouge, so New Orleans was not an unknown city to me, and I loved it. It was always the greatest city, the most fun city, I think.
I think
that I'd ever been to.
I think that Black History Month as an educational tool is still useful and has merit. So say, for example, even though I don't think that the state oppresses Black people or anything like that, or that the police hate Black people, etc., I think that when you acknowledge, say, for example, like kind of the legacy, etc., of Jim Crow laws and slavery, and how that has led to, say, higher instances of poverty, etc., amongst African American communities, I think that it's valid to acknowledge that legacy and the impact it's had on certain communities. And I think that, so I think that they're valid tools to acknowledge. I mean, I don't think that, obviously Black people can't uniquely be in poverty. Like, I'm white and I've been homeless. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm the last person to say that white people can't be poor, because literally whenever somebody says that to me, I'm like, really? No,
I grew up in a neighborhood that had like 3 police patrols a day. So
yeah, well, I mean, on the subject of strictly just Black History Month, I wish they would talk about the achievements of Black people.
Yeah, I think
in America at least.
To learn more about the culture. I'm more about the music, culture, and food because I'm a Southern boy, and I grew up in a Black community, so I know. But
my issue is that because it usually just boils down to this brief period during the 50s to the 60s with the Civil Rights Movement. That's it. As far as they're concerned.
Yeah, and you've got like 250 years of history that you're boiling down to, like, you're literally cutting out 3 years of it and going, this is Black history.
Yeah. But, I mean,
no.
They don't talk about
7 other years here, buddy.
Yeah, they don't talk about the Black inventors that pretty much made a mint on Wall Street. They don't talk about Madam C.J. Walker, who made the curling iron. They don't talk about that crap.
They do talk about the cotton gin.
They do talk about that.
I think that's to reference back to the cotton, because like you said, it's more of a tool used to beat people over the head with.
Yeah.
And I think it would be better, and it would have a more positive impact because look, education is great, and talking about the achievements is great, and I'll agree with you on that stuff. But what's really going to excite people, what really makes people love St. Patty's Day, is the culture and the food. Well, and the alcohol. I'll give you that one.
No, let's be honest. It is the alcohol. It's like 90% alcohol.
Yeah. See, the Irish really had a lot of buying their way into that one to do. So
I'm just saying.
Alcohol.
Basically the most things that we celebrate about like German culture in the UK are like the beer, like Octoberfest.
Exactly. And
like, the alcohol is just a great way to celebrate anything.
Well, I'm not advocating necessarily alcohol, but the Germans, they have the sausage. I mean, where I grew up in Texas, it was near New Braunfels. We used to go to this place. I think it's one of the largest German settlements in America. I think it's definitely the biggest one in Texas, and that's saying something. Yeah. So they had this place they had a celebration every year called the Wurstfest, because they basically had Octoberfest all year round. They're a tourist city. So in October they had Wurstfest, which just means sausage celebration.
That's awesome.
And so they had they have all the different sausages that they make and that they eat, and then the potato cakes and the funnel cakes and the music, and it's more than just the alcohol. I guess that's what I'm trying to get across. And with Black people in America, there's so much culture there. There's so much music. There's so much food. There's so much things that bring people together. And I value that over the educational beating people over the head that pushes them apart.
Yeah. I think that there's some value, particularly where, once again, I feel like it's slightly different because race relations in the UK are kind of...
Well, I mean, the race relations...
I wouldn't say that there wasn't racism in the UK, because I think that's kind of ridiculous, or that there wasn't certain aspects of racial tension. But I don't think that in the UK it's as violent or as explicit as it is in the US.
Well, the reason for that is, at least just from what I gather from UK history in general, is that the fact that you guys were an actual empire helped a lot. Whereas you have to keep in mind that America never really had that. America kind of just people were very self-segregating early on. So if you went to another state, it was predominantly German. You went to another state, it's predominantly Irish and English.
Yeah.
And if you go,
no one was predominantly Irish. They got kicked out of every state.
They got kicked out. Get the fuck out. Boston. They kept the city of Boston.
They captured Boston.
Oh, yeah.
They did it in a single night.
Yeah.
They raided it overnight and just captured it and took it as like the base operation.
Like as the British were pulling out in 1812, the Irish
all right,
formed.
all right,
No one
lads.
saw it coming.
All right, lads. We'll take this one, and everyone else can fuck off.
Fuck off. What import our own people over here.
Yeah.
How you doing, Oates? Otimus Prime has joined us here.
I just love your avatar, by the way. Can I just say, I love it.
Thank you.
Love the name of the
Thank
avatar. I love everything about it.
He's got the Uncle Sam I want you pose on top of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, actually. Thank you.
Hey, Otimus, you want to hear an interesting fact about Optimus Prime? He was modeled on Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
His character as a person was modeled on the idea.
I was about to say, I don't think Ronald Reagan looked like that.
No, he was a little bit more organic.
Yeah, I think there was
squishier.
less. Yeah, I think that there was less, reds and blue with cars and wheels and stuff.
So, but no, like I was saying though, people were super self-segregating in the past. So race relations were really hard to deal with, especially when they got pushed further west. That westward expansion
fairly self-segregating today.
Yeah, but today you kind of have no choice but to. I mean, even if you.
That's not true.
Some places maybe.
I think that it's interesting as well when you look at, say, self-segregating communities. Because, say, for example, in talking about Manchester again, say, for example, I have basically considered my auntie, but she's from Hong Kong and she lives in a very Asian, like Chinese Hong Kong, like that kind of area of Asia, like that's very much their community. But as well, I think that partly because of tourism and interest in that area. Oh. Everything fine? Oh, yeah. Partly because of tourism and interest in that area, even though they live very close together, it doesn't feel as segregated. Whereas there are other communities, like, say for example, there are certain Black communities or certain Arab communities, etc., that are very insular and and they very much struggle to integrate into wider society. And I think that it's just. I think that whilst people do still segregate themselves, I just think it's interesting, different cultures and how they handle that segregation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like multi-generational enclave self-segregation. No. I think that's very detrimental to society as a whole.
Well, from my experience, I live in Minnesota. Minnesota is still predominantly Scandinavian, but we have a large
contingent. You sound like a Minnesotan, eh?
Well, my ex... well, that's another thing that I could touch on one day is that the accent is actually disappearing from us. It's not staying around anymore, and that's kind of sad because we don't have we still have the odd sayings like "oh for cute," which is our way of saying "oh that's adorable," but what I was saying, it's still predominantly Scandinavian here, and we have our Octoberfest for our German contingency, but we also have Yule in upstate, so we have Viking festivals and shit. It's great, but we also have a large Somali Muslim community, and they are super insulated. They recently celebrated Eid, or not recently, but a couple months back, and they come to this huge. For those that are outside of the United States, a place called the Mall of America. It's this massive mall, indoor mall, and they just took over and they just rampaged through it, and it sucked. And but they're super insulated, and that's actually caused some problems recently because we're number one on the ISIS recruitment for Somali Muslims. Oh. Yeah, in the United States. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what bothers me, I think, the most is that that people that come to societies or they go to societies because they think the society is better and they will have a better life, their children will have a better life. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to integrate into that society, because obviously something about their culture caused them to succeed. You look at, for instance, the Romans and the Carthaginians. If you know anything about the time and the level of achievement of those two empires when they finally, when Carthage finally got destroyed, the Carthaginians technologically outstripped the Romans by centuries. I mean, they had interchangeable parts. They had the system of production where they could build 2 or 3 ships a day. It was ridiculous. But the Romans didn't sacrifice their children, therefore destroying the next generation like the Carthaginians did. So, bad practices will in the end destroy your culture, whereas good practices will in the end cause your culture to thrive.
Well, in the case of the Islamic contingent in the United States, I think it really depends on, one, what class they're coming from, and two, what state they're coming from. If they're go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask, what do you mean by class, first of all?
No, like class. What social class do they come from? If they're coming from the middle class or upper middle class, well, odds are they're not very good Muslims. Like, they drink and whore all the time.
I think that's not necessarily the case, but say, for example, I think that, like, my personal experience, say, for example, with middle and upper class Muslims is that, say, for example, I mean, typically maybe lots of them come to the UK to study in university. For example, someone in my debate society is from Iran, and it's really funny actually because he fucking hates Iran and Muslim culture, and whenever somebody virtue signals about the hijab or something, he goes, no, it's inherently sexist, shut up, you don't know anything. It's really funny, but I think that typically maybe they've come to study, or maybe they're, say, for example, doctors, etc. So I think that there is a greater ability to, say, for example, collect resources, etc., to help you integrate better into society. Whereas, say, for example, I don't know, like, for the most extreme example, say, for example, you're an asylum seeker, say, for example, and from a very, like, poor, impoverished area, and maybe have very little understanding of the language, etc., but have had to, like, flee to a country for your life, say, for example, because, I don't know, you're being targeted by the state, etc., because, lots of these are very authoritarian regimes, and any kind of, dissent can mean that you die. I think that means that, say, for example, it is then harder to integrate into wider culture because those language barriers exist, etc. And then also you just don't have the same monetary resources to learn the language, or to, say, for example, hire a tutor, etc. Which is why, say, for example, I have a friend whose parents are from a Muslim country, and he has to translate for his parents, like at parents' meetings, etc. And I think that whilst obviously I think that it's important to learn the language, I think that in those extreme examples, say, for example, it's really difficult for them to integrate into wider society, hence why they form clusters, because these are people that can actually physically understand what they're saying. And I think that obviously, like, it's important for people to know the language. I think that in extreme examples where somebody's fleeing for their life, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I think another thing that tends to offset them is they generally have no desire to really want to integrate. They a lot of them don't.
Yeah, I've recognized that in quite a few people.
Real quick, do you think that that's some sort of wanting to have everything you had at home except for the threat of imminent death?
Yes, it's exactly that.
Yeah, I think because a lot of those people as well, they may not hate their culture or their country, but, they physically had to leave because of, I don't know, like a particular authoritarian regime at the time, as opposed to people that move out of their country because they hate their culture and hate, they hate wider society, and they want to move somewhere where they know that they can, succeed and thrive. Or, I think that it depends very much on the context. So, say, for example, I mean, like, talking about, like, say, the Syrian refugee crisis, lots of these people, I mean, we can discuss, like, the demographic of Syrians, etc., and how most of them aren't women and children, etc. But say, for example, like, lots of them don't hate their culture or hate Syria. They just, have to leave because of ISIS, etc., and don't want to die, which means that they they don't want to remove lots of the things that they love and hold about their culture. And some of it is fairly benign things, but then some of it is obviously, you know, very harmful ideas about, say, for example, women, or say, for example, the white people. Like, say, like I knew someone who she nearly got disowned by her father because she was dating a white boy. It was very intense. So, you know, I think that it depends very much on the context and why someone moves to that country. Whereas I think that it's more likely for, say, for example, upper or middle class people, like demographics of people from those countries, to move somewhere for, you know, for economic gain, and, you know, they are doctors, nurses, etc., and so they can integrate more efficiently in culture. Even if they initially have a language barrier, they have, you know, more resources to gain support to learn language, etc. Whereas if somebody, you know, doesn't hate their culture and doesn't really want to move but is forced to because of external circumstances, they're much less likely to want to integrate into, you know, Western culture, because quite frankly, a lot of them don't like Western culture. So,
well, I mean, I can again, speaking from just my experiences, most of the Somalis, I always say Somalis because that's predominantly the Muslim contingent we have here.
Yeah,
is most of them are refugees that have been here for 20 years. So,
yeah.
and you'd think in that time, because a lot of them live in these, I guess you'd call them council states. They're state-sponsored housing.
Yeah.
And what they would have there would be not only a translator, but they'd have what's called a, I don't know the proper term, but it's basically a tutor for their children in various schools. And what they would do is they would teach them English second language courses. And, you know, that's great for the kids, but the parents actively don't go there. Like, they actively do not do it. And they still speak Somali at home. Yeah. And that causes problems. Because a lot of them, you know, 20 years later still don't speak a lick of English. Not even something to, you know, help them get around.
Just the basic "Hi, how are you" kind of stuff. Do they know yes and no?
No, like, very, very few. It's very broken, and which I could understand, but it's not serviceable for what they need to do. Yeah, and so it's an issue.
20 years, there's been absolutely no attempt to.
Nothing. I mean, I'll say this. The younger kids were having a good time about it until ISIS came around. That's really been the problem here, because like I said, we've had a massive recruiting problem here. Yeah. But it's also for the fact that there's interracial tensions. Like, native blacks here do not get along with them. Like, they're, because a huge problem within our city is that the north side of our town is predominantly black and Latino, and there's a lot of gangs there. But recently there's been an uptick in Somali gang activity, so that whereas you used to just have to deal with the Latinos and blacks and the occasional whites and natives, you know, kind of sparring off each other, you now have to deal with, like, you get a call every time on your radio, because I work with a lot of cops, so it's all the time saying we have, you know, 40 people, you know, thrown down near the river, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Somali gang versus a Hispanic, a white, or a black gang, and it's become an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as well, it's kind of, I mean, I didn't grow up somewhere like London, so maybe where there is I wouldn't say that Liverpool wasn't multicultural, but London is particularly a melting pot for various cultures in the UK. So I'm not sure what, like, the gang situation is like there, but growing up in Liverpool, the gang situation was, I mean, I'm sure that there are, like, you know, black gangs, but the gang situation was very much two, like, distinct working class areas. My mum actually grew up in one of them, you know, like Norris Green and stuff. They kind of formed gangs and had gang wars around there, and that's kind of characterized, at least for me growing up, gang culture. So I think that it's weird to think about in America, where you have, like, specific gangs of races, because to a certain extent that doesn't really occur in the UK.
I think I think the real issue, though, is kind of how, just specifically my city. Again, most of it's a bit like a miniature version of Sweden. So you're not kind of allowed to talk about certain groups.
Oh, really?
It's bad. It's bad in that regard. But the Danes are pretty cool here. They're pretty based when it comes to that stuff. If you have a Danish cop, he'll be like, yeah, it was that guy. It was Mahmoud.
Yeah, I think that I noticed that about a lot of I think that it's weird because I think in the UK we do still have this kind of silence in regards to, I mean, particularly Islam right now, but I think that that's not unique to the UK. I think that that's fairly standard, but say, for example, it's discussing other cultures to a certain extent and criticizing problems of them is accepted in kind of a jovial manner, particularly, like, in the context of Europe, all the countries fucking hate each other. And whenever Eurovision rolls around, like no, like everyone is prepared to rip into each other's countries. But I think that other people, because I went to a school that was like an ex-private school, because I couldn't afford to go when it was fee paying, but then when it didn't came fee paying, I got in through grades. So there was a lot of say, for example, we had Russian students, we had German students, and Bulgaria was quite common, Chinese, etc., like boarding there, and a lot of them are just very like non-PC and very prepared to be vocal about even like more blatant. Like I have a friend from Estonia, and she's more than happy to say these are countries of people that I don't like because I don't like the culture and I think that these countries are shit, and is very prepared to tell someone from that country to their face, yeah, your country is shit and I don't like it. And you're just like, oh my god, like I can't imagine that really happening in the UK to the same extent. Like I can't imagine somebody turning around and saying, like, I mean, obviously it happens, but wider society, you're not going to have someone turn around and say, I don't know, I hate Sweden, or I hate German, like Germany, etc. But I don't think that really happens. Whereas I think that a lot of like Eastern European and like kind of general European countries are more prepared to just kind of say, yeah, no, I don't like this country or their people.
The thing about America is that everybody in America who's of European descent is a mutt. Everybody I've ever met.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're all like, I think maybe that's the thing is like everybody in Europe hates everybody in Europe, and that's why all the mixed ones are in America.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that is that even the non-whites aren't entirely non-white. I mean, you go back, America has been remarkably, up until a certain point recently, has been remarkably successful at integration. I think it was in the 80s that we started to see massive problems. That's when you really start seeing like the fact that we had like the concept, like the concept of the gang is relatively new to America. At least in the context, not like Al Capone and stuff, but like the Bloods and the Crips and the Latin Kings. That's relatively new, and I think that is a failure on integration and a failure on certain policies. But
I think that's caused primarily by the drug war.
I'll give it most credit, but it's also it is also at least for places like LA and shit, that's a huge problem there. I mean that's California in general is pretty much Mexico with better plumbing at this point. it is.
And more movie stars that live in the hills.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing. The history of, but going back to like what we were initially talking about, which is like cultural festivals in America. I think it's one of those things that as we were developing as a nation, these practices became more widespread, and people from different backgrounds started joining in and started contributing things. Like I think like even established things in religion became more widespread here in the New World. Yeah, I doubt an American Christmas is like a UK Christmas, even though culturally we're very similar.
Yeah, I think to that extent as well, like, because I have, like, obviously, I do have a lot of American friends, and I think because we don't have, like, Thanksgiving, etc., there's kind of like I know like a lot of Americans who place like kind of more of an emphasis on Thanksgiving than Christmas. I don't know how much that's true for everyone else. Like, I'm not saying that like Americans don't celebrate Christmas, but I think that because we don't have like those kind of similar, like festivals, like we don't have those like similar like holidays. I think that like all the emphasis is placed on Christmas. So I think that's like the big holiday of the year, and because all British people are grumpy and hate each other, like we have to pretend to like each other for a couple of hours, and then it's just and that's Christmas.
Yeah, so that's why Christmas is such a big deal.
Well,
no, I'm one of those people that likes Thanksgiving a lot more than I won't say a lot more, because recently my family started doing the big feast on Christmas too, so it's starting to catch up with Thanksgiving. But I like it for the food. I'm very much a food guy.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing that's interesting is the amount of pagan beliefs that survived in the New World. That kind of fact, like I don't know how big Halloween is in the UK, but it's huge here.
Halloween is quite big here, but I think part of that is actually because of the influence of American culture. So say, for example, like American movies, etc., celebrating Halloween, a lot of the kinds of, like trick-or-treating, etc., aspects of it have kind of been imported to the UK. Whereas, like, it's not that, like, Halloween wasn't a thing. It's just that the particular way that Halloween manifested as a celebration was very much influenced by America. So even though I don't think it's as big, it's very much caught up with it. Like, I fucking love Halloween. I think it's awesome.
Who doesn't love, Halloween?
I think that it's getting bigger and bigger as a celebration, but I think part of that is because of like American pop culture influence, and because America is everywhere. You guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
We're just the ones with the loudest voice, honestly.
Yeah.
We yell at everyone.
You just also like made all the movies and everything, so.
In Civ 5, we developed Hollywood first.
Yeah.
Oh god, no. I spent like 50 quid on Civ 6 while I was broke, and I was like, why did I do this to myself? I'm not going to be able to afford to eat for like 2 weeks.
Oh, you could just manufacture your own food in Civ 5. Oh, wait, never mind.
I have friends who are rich, so I just like low-key was just like, can I borrow some potatoes from you to live off? Can I have some?
I can't do that. As an Irishman, I would be torn between eating them or fermenting them.
No, alcohol as a girl is easy, okay? I'm just saying.
Yeah. I know female privilege. I get it.
It is female privilege. The thing is, though, is that I'm very explicit about the fact that I'm in a relationship. Like, I genuinely, like, don't try and lead people on. And another reason why I get so many drinks is because I'm president of the debate society, so people, like, want to give me drinks for free. But, and I get, like...
So that's the intersection with your presidential privilege?
Yeah. Like, I have, say, for example, like, I mean, not just me, like, our society has, like, free club entry into certain areas and stuff, and, like discounted drinks and stuff. But also just, like, in general, like, guys just want to buy me drinks. Even when I tell them, like, I'm in a relationship, and I say I'm in a relationship with a girl as well, so it's like... it's like, come back. Like, I've told you, like, I've let you know. Like, if you purchase me a drink, like, I've told you. Ugh. Although I am a very stupid drunk. Like, I've accepted drinks off guys where I've like not been sure if they've been spiked or not, and I wake up the next morning and go, that was legitimately dangerous. Well done, self.
So, I mean, are there any other like holidays or I guess celebrations that we could really talk about? I mean,
well, I'd actually like to hear more about the Danish celebrations that you were talking about.
The Viking festival.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
They're pretty
really cool. What do they do?
Build longships. I'm not even fucking kidding you. They build longships. It's great, and we drink meat and shit. It's fantastic. But I mean,
that's fucking awesome. Do you rape a village?
Happen?
I wish. How often does it happen? Like once every 2 years. It's pretty nice though. I mean, you have to go out of the city to do it though. So you're driving at least 4 hours, which is awesome. Like, it's worth it. If you just want to just have a big meal and just shoot the shit, because out there in the hinterlands, out there like farther north, you get which is appropriate, I guess. You still have people that speak Swedish, Danish, and a little bit of German out there, like heavily. That's actually the one place where the accent isn't disappearing. But yeah, it's great. We just drink and just tell stories and stuff, and there's battles and stuff. We actually get to chuck axes at stuff. It's really cool. It's a really awesome.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I suddenly want to go.
Yeah.
I could probably buy my way in with mead. I brew my own mead, so I could show up with a couple caps.
That's so cool. How do you do that?
With a fermenter and some honey.
Do you have a fermenter?
No, I built my own fermenters. I recorded all the video to make a video and drop on my channel to show you how to build your own 5-gallon fermenter. But I haven't uploaded it yet. So
we'll see.
No, I just resort to making yakka, which is like cheap uni student fermenting, which doesn't even really count because you just leave loads of vodka and sliced lemons and loads of sugar in a thing for a couple of days, and it gets really strong.
Well, I think another cool thing, at least from in Minnesota, is that we have a monarch festival, because we have a large Mexican population here. So we basically, over the years they raise there's monarch butterfly farms at the local university, and every year they bring crates of them out and we release them near the end of the summer, and it's really nice because we just eat Mexican food, and it's a really cool thing because everyone in the city comes, and it's
all right.
As
nice a follower of yours on Twitter, I expect to see pictures of this stuff as the year progresses.
I will. I'll eventually get there. I don't know when the next Viking festival will be, but hopefully it'll be within the next year or so, because I really want to go back. If not, I'll post some pictures of my forge, and you can see my beard axes.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Dude, hold on. We got a blacksmith and a brewery. All we need are some hunters and an earl, and we got it.
Yeah, we'll make our own little fiefdom. It'd be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Sargon.
So there's an island between Iceland and Greenland we can take.
Oh yeah.
We'll meet you halfway, lawful.
Yeah, I can't hunt for shit, so I will just be there to smile awkwardly. I'll serve the meads.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I will say that I want to actually, if I can ever find enough people to do it, I want to build my own longboat, because my friend has a place where we could store it when we're not using it, and I want to race it because there's a canoe building contest in my city.
Why does America sound so much awesome than the UK? We're all miserable. I'm just complaining about the rain all the time.
We have a lot of space.
Yeah.
I guess.
We have you're okay. The UK is the size of Alabama.
Yeah, we are fucking tiny.
We have 49 other states, and almost all of them are bigger.
Yeah, true. We just have nothing. We just have. I mean, London has quite a few celebrations of has quite a few ethnic celebrations, etc. Whereas I think the rest of the UK is just kind of it's just we just don't enjoy things. Okay, we're just miserable. We just drink a lot. I think that's why we have such a big drinking culture in England, because there's nothing else to do.
Well, it's a fucking miserable island. Let's be honest here.
No, it is.
I mean,
incredibly rainy.
I love it because it's the personification of me half the time. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my people have invaded you guys multiple times, and it's
not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. Imagine what that says about your people, considering that it's such a miserable island and you kept going back.
It was just for the women.
At least we Irish stayed on our island and we're like, no, fuck off every time you came over.
You guys were too drunk to do anything.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of the point of living. Wait, never mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that, know what pisses me off? Just as an aside, I hate the fact that Columbus always gets the fucking credit for discovering America. I always hate it.
Because you're a Dane.
Yeah, we were here first. We got here first.
To be quite honest with you, I think that there were some. I think they were called Native Americans. Yeah.
Actually, that's a weird thing to describe because I gotta look up the article again. But apparently there were pre-Viking era ships here before even they came.
There's actually a study. Check out the cocaine mummies, where this anthropologist or archaeologist, I can't remember which one of those two, basically sent a bunch of samples of mummy tissue to a drug test lab to see, what kind of stuff that they might be using back then to enhance the life, whatever. And they found cocaine and tobacco. And they were like, hold on a second. Whoa, hold on a second. 800 BC, there was no cocaine or tobacco anywhere near Egypt or even in Europe or Asia. That was only in America. I'm sorry. American attitude. Anyway, it was only in the Americas that those things were found. But you have it in mummies that are 800 BC. So, and then there was, I think, also a Phoenician ship that was found with articles from, I think, 7 different continents or 6 different continents or something like that on it, including a kangaroo skeleton.
Well, I mean,
but I don't know how accurate that one was.
We have a what's called a rune stone up here, and it tell if it's legit because they're still studying it to this day. But there's some indication that it is. But if it is legit, it's supposed to be a ship's log of a sorts of saying what happened. If they made it as far as Minnesota into the interior at such an early stage, you have to really conceptualize most of American history.
I mean, they were capable of going up rivers.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's not like you don't have river access.
No, I mean, it's the land of 10,000 lakes. Of course we do.
Yeah, I mean, you can come in from Newfoundland, which is where they would have come in from, and ridden straight through all 4 Great Lakes and then down into Minnesota easily.
I mean, it's interesting to think about because again, fuck the Spaniards. I can't help but that just burns me for some reason. It really does. It bothers me.
Are you triggered? No.
A little bit. I won't lie. I'm a little triggered.
I mean, you got to put yourself in the position of a conquistador. You have gunpowder and firearms, and you're up against the Stone Age people, and they have a tremendous amount of wealth. What do you do?
Oh my God.
I don't know. Hope that it's Italy invading you and that they won't be able to freaking do anything right.
Well, I've had this conversation with people before. Like, if you got dropped on an alien planet and there's a humanoid species and they're just coming into the Stone Age, do you help them or do you present yourself as a god and live out the rest of your days enjoying it?
Do they have women and can I fuck them?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the women.
It just depends on the position that you take. Are you god or are you going to be their teacher?
Oh no, I'd be their god. Fuck people.
And everyone says teacher. If you want to sound noble and all, but let's be honest.
It depends. It depends. If it's my own modern sensibilities, yeah, I'd want to be a teacher. But if
I get to carry a pistol,
yeah,
because that's going to reemphasize my position in the society.
Yeah, but if I'm gonna, yeah, I would rather be the king. I'd rather rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would teach them things, just not enough for them to be stronger.
Oh yeah. You don't put them in a position to defeat.
Yeah, you give them. You do like a god style thing where you'd be like, listen, I'm just like going to give you some knowledge, but I'm not going to give you like tree of knowledge level knowledge.
I'm going to teach you guys how to build buildings.
Yeah, I'm going to teach you how to build statues in my honor.
I'll teach you how to harvest more food and how to cultivate clean, healthy water. And once you have a huge population that's all growing all this stuff and taking care of itself, I'll teach you how to do artwork to honor me.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. I will say this about Cortez. He has got a fucking bad reputation, and I don't think it's totally deserved. I really don't.
No, there were a handful of people who were much worse than him. I mean, he was basically the guy who led a bunch of monsters ashore, but those men that he led ashore became monsters in their own right, much worse than him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but everything gets blamed on fucking Cortez. Everything.
Yeah.
Here's another thing.
Kind of like the United States, everything gets blamed on whoever's the president.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that I can't stand. They always treat the natives like they were these innocent creatures.
Yeah. That kind of bothers me. These are people who were sacrificing humans in the tens to multiples of tens per day.
Well, think about the Celts. This is the Celts on a fucking huge, on a wide scale. You know, granted, not an always an appropriate comparison, but they still practice the same shit. They were practicing sacrifice.
Yeah.
The Aztecs were ripping people's hearts out of their chest with
and they were
obsidian
sacrificing
knives.
10, 20, 30 people a day. You're not talking about small numbers. You're talking about hundreds of people per week. That are and it's just neighboring tribes, like whoever's unfortunate enough to be within their sights.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Oh, meanwhile, completely decimating their entire environment to build temples to their honor and their gods.
I mean, this is to say that they okay. Before
they
people
deforested the entire Central America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair,
to make plaster.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. Did they deserve to die the way they did? Not really. I mean, it was horrible. It was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, it wasn't even a war with the conquistadors. It was the fact they just caught diseases from them. Like, how fucking lame.
Well, I mean, it became a war after a while.
Oh, after a while.
Right. It definitely didn't start off that way. It started off with them actually worshiping the conquistadors, and the conquistadors going, "Oh shit, we got this."
Well, I think. Well, moving away from South America, North America is an interesting story because here's my issue, and just as an amateur historian, at any given time, people have said that there were 120 million to like 50 million to 120 million people on the continent, just in North America. Does that sound right to you at all?
Well, if you think about the Missouri Valley settlements and stuff like that, yeah. And then you talk about the East Coast was heavily populated.
Yeah, but given the infinite mortality rates, given the infinite mortality rates at the time, that just seems insanely high to me.
Yeah, but you're also talking about the people who never invented the wheel.
Oh, good point. Good point. But
once again, a Stone Age society that's in all reality that never really needed to develop because they were never oppressed by any external society woes. They had plenty. No matter where they went in America, they had plenty. As hunter-gatherers, they never needed to evolve beyond that point.
Well, I would say, just in your appraisal of them being Stone Age, I would say they were more Bronze Age, in depending on the culture you're talking about.
No, they didn't have any metallurgy amongst any of the tribes. And honestly, when the first metal that they ever got, they basically stole from or looted from corpses.
Oh, speaking of natives, I'll be right back. I want to show you something, my latest project, because I want to get your appraisal on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure I can give you it, but
it's like I said, I make beard axes, so
that's still really fucking
we
cool.
We may have to discuss an exchange at some point.
Yeah, I'll show you. Hold on. Let me just get this. So this is my tomahawk that I made.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool.
Yeah. Just a little aside, because I'm still geeking out. I'm going to do another one, and the other one's going to be more of a Viking beard axe. So, yeah, that's a thing. I always think
that's so awesome.
Yes. But no, but it always blows my mind that they like some of the people got to remember that a lot of the tribes that went extinct were extinct because of other tribes just going there and massacring the shit out of them. Like the Hopi got fucking wiped out by the Cheyenne. They got massacred as soon as this.
They were definitely killing each other en masse.
Yeah.
But that wasn't throughout the entire. I mean, if you look at the southeastern tribes, except for the Cherokee, if you ignore the Cherokee,
Ignore the Cherokee, of course,
and look at all the other tribes, you'll notice a much more agrarian society.
Yeah.
The Cherokee were kind of violent, but everybody else around them kind of just bent the knee and they took it, so to speak, and went back to their farming.
Yeah.
And then if you go out west, you get a little bit more aggressive. You can go northwest, like up to your area, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota.
Oh, the Lakota were fucking brutal sons of bitches.
Yeah, all the real psychos out there.
Well,
Cutting off scalps and stuff.
Well, it's a frigid hellhole up here, so what are you going to expect?
You can expect Vikings to show up for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
where it gets cold, man. Everywhere. Yeah. See, that's how Game of Thrones is going to end, by the way. The White Walkers are going to come down the wall and Vikings are going to show up.
Just like surprise.
Boom! Hey, yeah, I know we're on the other show, on the other channel, but we're here to kick your ass.
Yeah, Ragnar Lothbrok is just swinging his fucking axe. Oh, well, not anymore.
I've not actually watched the show, but I've been reading the books, and now I'm scared because I'm going to have to watch the entire show because Martin's going to die, and he's never going to finish the book series.
Yeah, oh, no. I know. And now he's talking about, I want to, between Winds and Dream of Spring, I want to do a bunch of Dunk and Egg. Be like, you son of a bitch.
Don't do this to us.
Dirty bastard.
But you know he's got someone to pick up after if he dies. He's got a contingency plan.
It's so frustrating though, because when you hear how he types with like fingers, like, like old people, like with like
click.
And then he doesn't just like, if he makes a mistake, a few hundred words back, he doesn't just click where it was and delete that bit. He just like holds down the backspace key, deletes up to that bit, and then types it all again with his like, why? You could just imagine an editor, like his publishers and shit, just being like, "Why are you doing this to me? Stop doing that."
I can imagine sitting there with George while he's typing away is probably like torture. It's like every 5 minutes you're ching ching.
like slowly
down. Hold on, let me get the correction fluid.
I could imagine. I have that, and I'm not even there. I could feel it. It's like torturing me every time. I'm like, where are the new books?
It'll definitely be out in 2016.
How long until we got the next book? I mean, he said what, 2017?
He said after the new season came out, he decided he wanted to change a few things. So I imagine that he's doing exactly what Lawful just pointed out, and just like backspacing from the end of the entire book. Like, let me go back to chapter 2 and fix this.
Well, I mean,
just crying, just like this book is never being published.
He really has to change shit though now, because so much of they're now past him on the show.
I think what he really wants to do more than anything is make an unmakeable movie, or make a story that's. Because he actually pointed this, and he said it a couple times, that his book would not be producible as a show. And now that like they're passing him, I think he's like,
he's just gonna try everyone. He's like,
yeah, fucking Jon Snow doesn't come back at all. He's actually dead. He's actually dead.
No, he just stay. No, he's gonna get killed. No, he's in the new season, so he's gonna be alive. Yeah, in the next book, he's just gonna be dead.
Yeah. He's just dead.
George, does he release this book with no John chapters? Yeah. And? You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Jon Snow doesn't die in the books, though. Like, that bit doesn't happen. As far as
he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
He doesn't, die and get revived by Melisandre.
I gotta go ahead and talk about our... This is in case you guys don't know, I do sponsored content. This episode of the Dolphin Radio Show is brought to you by Zanzibar, Geography Classes, Ultimate Keto Pop Quiz, and by Freedom, which is not free and costs $1.05. Thank you guys for checking out the Dolphin Radio Show. We're back every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Ran it a little bit late this evening. I thank my guests for coming on, Kasey and Lawful. Go ahead and I'm sorry to cut it out, guys, but got that thing to do.
Yep.
All right.
No problem.
Anyway,
I'll see ya.
I'll let you guys go ahead and out me, or not out me. That's the wrong.
Oh, you have
stop saying that. Go ahead and talk us out, Kasey.
All right, yeah, it was great to be on here. Would love to come back on again, but yeah, just to let anyone know, I'll be having, like I said, Aiden Paladin and the Politopod on this Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to come check that out on my channel, and my channel is Kasey Dynneson, KaseyDynneson at youtube.com. Yeah, that's all I have. I stream every Saturday, so yeah, come by and shit post if you at your heart's content.